I'm 77 years old, and I want to share a secret with you that I understood too late. This isn't wisdom from a book. It's a simple truth that all of us know somewhere deep inside, but spend our whole lives ignoring. You become the people who surround you, not partially, completely. I understood this at 73, when I removed 5 people from my life. I'm going to tell you not about them, but about what they were doing to me, and about what the air felt like when they were gone. My name is Dorothy. I grew up in a small town in Ohio and spent most of my life in Cincinnati. I was an English teacher for 38 years. I raised 2 children. I buried my husband. I lived to see my grandchildren grow up. I always thought of myself as a perceptive person, someone who understood people. I taught Steinbeck and Hemingway and Fitzgerald. I knew passages about human nature by heart, and yet for decades I kept people close to me who were slowly taking me apart. I did not see it, or I saw it, but did not name it honestly. I found explanations. I found justifications. I told myself that is just how life is, that people are complicated, that a good person stays patient. Patience is a fine quality, but there is a difference between patience and agreeing to be slowly poisoned. I understood that difference late. I want you to understand it now. Person 1, the one who always knows better. There was someone like this in my life for many years. A friend, I will just call her a friend. Smart, well-read, good taste in everything. She always knew how things should be done, how to raise children, how to talk to a husband, how to dress, how to respond to any given situation. Every choice I made, she met with a barely noticeable pause. One of those pauses that was followed by something like, "Well, sure you could do it that way," or "I think I would have handled that differently," or just a look that said everything without words. I did not experience this as a problem. I experienced it as care. She wants what is best for me. She is smart. Maybe she is right. Here's what was happening inside me over those years. I stopped trusting my own decisions. Before any moderately important step, her voice would automatically appear in my head. What will she think of this? Is this the right thing to do by her standards? I consulted her mentally even when she was not in the room. She lived inside me like an internal censor I had not hired and could not fire. When this person was no longer in my life, the first few months felt strange, a kind of emptiness I did not know what to do with. Then the emptiness filled with something else, quiet. My own quiet, in which for the first time in a long time I could hear only myself, my own thoughts, my own assessments, my own voice. It turned out I had one. I had just stopped hearing it a long time ago. Person 2, the one for whom things are always worse than they are for you. This is a very insidious type because they do not provoke irritation. They provoke sympathy, and sympathy is a noble feeling. Try telling someone you are exhausted by a person who is suffering. They will not understand you. You will not understand yourself. There was someone like this in my life. Whatever was happening in my life, the same thing was happening in theirs, only worse. I got sick. They were sicker. I had trouble with my kids. Their trouble was more serious. I was tired. They were beyond exhausted. Every conversation I had with them started with my situation, and ended with theirs. Every single time I called them when things were hard, I thought they would help. They would listen to me for a minute. Then they would say, "Yes, that sounds difficult, but you know what is happening with me." And then an hour about them. I hung up the phone feeling emptied. I thought it was because their problems were so heavy. I did not understand that it was because they had taken my energy and returned nothing in its place. When this person was no longer in my life, I noticed one thing. After conversations with other people, I sometimes felt tired, but it was a good tired, like after honest work. After conversations with them, the tiredness was different, like something had been pulled out of me. I only understood the difference once the first kind of tiredness was gone. Person 3, the one whose friendship is built against someone. There are people whose closeness with you rests not on what brings you together, but on who you both dislike. A shared enemy, a shared target for criticism, a shared subject for judgment. The neighbor who does not raise her kids right, the colleague who dresses too provocatively, the relative who thinks too highly of herself. I knew someone like this. Conversations with her were easy, lively, sharp. We laughed. We finished each other's sentences. I thought that was real closeness when someone sees the world the same way you do. Then I noticed something uncomfortable. We saw the world the same way, only in one direction, in the direction of other people's flaws. And one day I caught myself looking for the flaw first whenever I met someone new. My first glance at a person had become a search for what was wrong with them. It had become harder to feel genuine happiness at someone else's good news. I did not connect this to those conversations right away, but the connection was direct. When this person was no longer in my life, I did not feel the difference immediately. Then I noticed I had become softer, not weaker. I mean that my first look at a person became curious again instead of evaluating. It was like getting back something you had not noticed losing. Subscribe and hit, like right now. 2 more to go. The quietest ones and the most dangerous, precisely because they are the hardest to recognize. Person 4, the one who only loves you when you are suffering. This realization took me years to accept, because this kind of person seems like the most devoted friend you have. They are always there when it hurts, always show up when things are bad, always listen, always support, always say exactly the right thing. But I started noticing something strange. When things were going well for me, this person seemed to dim. When I talked about something happy, about good news, about my children doing well, about a moment when things suddenly felt lighter, they listened politely, but without any warmth. Sometimes they would find a gentle way to remind me that it was too soon to celebrate, that things can always change, that you do not want to jinx it. I thought that was caution, that they were just looking out for me. Then I understood. They needed me suffering, because suffering me needed them. Happy me was of no particular interest. Their affection for me was real, but it was attached to my pain. They did not consciously wish me harm. It is just that someone else, pain made them feel necessary. And my happiness removed that feeling. When this person was no longer in my life, I noticed that I had stopped being afraid to share good news. Before I always did it carefully, Do not jinx it. Do not brag. Do not tempt fate. Now I understand that some of that carefulness was not coming from inside me. It was coming from them. Person 5, the one who never changes and will not let you change either. This is the least visible of the 5, because they do not do anything wrong. They simply remember you as you were 20 years ago, and every time you try to become someone different, they gently, warmly, lovingly bring you back. But you have always done it this way. But you never liked that kind of thing. But you know that is not really you. They do not want anything bad for you. They have just gotten used to the old version of you. The old you was comfortable, familiar, predictable. The new you creates disruption. It unsettles a pattern they depend on. When I was 68, I wanted to sign up for a watercolor class. I mentioned it to this person. They laughed. Not meanly, just the way you laugh when you hear something unexpected. They said, "Oh, Dorothy, at your age." I did not sign up, not because they forbade me, just because their laugh stayed inside me and became my own doubt. When this person was no longer in my life, I signed up for the watercolor class. I have been painting for 4 years now. I paint terribly, and I love it more than almost anything I have done in recent memory. There they are, the 5, the one who always knows better, the one for whom things are always worse, the one whose friendship is built against someone, the one who loves you only in your pain, the one who keeps you anchored in the past. I am not saying cut people out without thinking. I am not saying the people close to you are not allowed to have their own struggles. I am talking about something specific, about a chronic feeling, one that goes on for years, that after spending time with a certain person, you are smaller, quieter, heavier, that your own inner voice gets a little weaker each time, and theirs gets a little louder. If that feeling is familiar, stop. Do not rush to any conclusions. Just stop and answer one honest question. After spending time with this person, do I feel better or worse? Not in the first minute, an hour later, a day later. Your body knows the answer before your mind does. You just have to learn to listen to it. I'm 77 years old. After I removed these 5 people from my life, the air changed. Not immediately, gradually. The way it feels when you have been living in a smoky room for a long time. You step outside, and only after a few minutes do you realize that breathing had been hard all along. I do not regret those people. I regret the years I spent near them without understanding what was happening. Those years I cannot get back, but yours are still here. Look at the people around you, not with judgment, just honestly. Who among them makes you more, and who makes you less? That is the only question that matters. And if this old school teacher from Ohio said something today that reached somewhere real in you, subscribe. More stories like this one come out here. Real ones, no gloss. Your subscription helps these words find the people who need them right now. Maybe they found you in time,